Okay, it's just turned 5:30 and it looks like Nikon has, DxO Mark has finally brought out its results. Finally, what do I mean finally? It's brought out the results for the Nikon D600, the full frame 24 megapixel cheap HD digital SLR camera. So I want you guys all, before you all go, brilliant, must buy a new camera, always have a little check of all of the specs and which specs are important to you before jumping ship or before even buying a new camera. So for me, I was kind of thinking, D700 has been out for 4 years now. Maybe this could be a camera to go for. So I've had a little look on their website, so let's have a little look at this. Okay, so on the DxO Mark website, I've put their 3 best cameras here. The D600, the D4, the uber duper one, and the Nikon D700, my 4-year-old full frame, only 12 megapixels camera. And the first thing that you see here is their ISO sensitivity. So as you can see here, they're all roughly the same, apart from the D700 only goes down to 200 and it's a fake 100. Now, for me, it's all about noise. I do a lot of shoots in both clubs, in weddings, in churches, well, churches and weddings, same thing. So I really need to be able to have at least 2000, 3000, 4000 ISO fairly clean. And that's clean on my screen, because a lot of times it's screenshots and the printing is fine. I'm not really bothered about that because it goes into wedding albums and stuff, but it's what I want to see on the screen, what I can recover from that. So that's where signal to noise response, I think. Signal to noise, something. And on screen, if you look at this, so the Nikon D4 is there. So the further along it is, the better it is. And that's kind of showing that the D700 and the D4 are giving exactly the same results, and the D600, the new one, which is just out, isn't actually as good. It's lower down. So whenever, for example, whenever this is at 634 ISO, that's the equivalent of the D700 at maybe about 1000 ISO. So there's about just under 1 stop's worth of difference. So maybe 2/3 of a stop difference. But unfortunately, there's no kind of difference between the D4 and the D700. So I'm like, oh, well, I'm not going to upgrade to that. If I were to go to print, let's see, what would it give me? Yeah, the D700 isn't quite as good in print. However, this is of the raw files, and it's usually, I'm not really too fussed about that. Okay, dynamic range. I do like a good bit of dynamic range. My Fuji S5 Pro rocks that. And especially if I'm doing any videos, like if I'm doing property stuff and I've got sky outside, I definitely want to have good dynamic range there. So let's see, print, I don't really see where the difference comes in there, but for screen, right at the top here, D600 is kicking ass at 13.4. Okay, that's good. And then the next one is the D4, brilliant. And then the D700. Okay, so my older camera, the dynamic range is pump compared to the other two, or compared to the 2 newest cameras. Until that is, you get to ISO 800, and there, the D700 and D4 are effectively the same. The D600, which just come out, seems to be doing a little bit better. So, if I'm going in a higher ISO, there's more dynamic range. However, if I go above, where's that ISO 800 or 1600, is no higher than what the D700 can give. And in print, I don't really see how this would, roughly the same, kind of again. Tonal range, interesting. All very much the same. The D4, the D700, better and closer together. And color sensitivity, D700 sucks a little bit on that, but it's not enough. So for me, anyway, going back to what's important is obviously frames per second, is a strong build quality and ergonomics and all that kind of stuff. So this is all about the sensor, not about the actual how good the camera is to use. For me, what I'm seeing from here to here, well, that's actually less. You know, that's a drop in ISO performance. And if we go the other way, once you're doing it into printed stuff, going from there, to me is not going to be worth £1,500 or £2,000 or however much they decide to charge for that at the moment. So for me, the D700, still the one for me to stay with. What is it that you're looking for, and what is it that you think is the best camera for you on here at the moment? Check it out, DXO Mark. I'll put the link in the description below.